The Bible is a unique book in its nature, different from any other history book available in the library. Its story begins with the creation of the earth and will end with the end of the world, covering an unparalleled range of events. However, its importance lies not only in the scope of its historical coverage, but also in its ability to reveal God's will for humanity and to prepare believers for the future. As Christians, we are the only ones who know the final destiny of the world, thanks to the revelation given to us. This knowledge is not given to satisfy our curiosity, but to prepare us for the future and not to be surprised or misunderstood. Therefore, we must be grateful that Jesus was so direct in showing us what to expect. Many people wonder if we are at the end of times, but the Bible teaches us that we are in the last days. For over 2,000 years, in fact, the last day has begun since Pentecost, when the first prophecy of the last days was fulfilled. Consequently, every Christian generation must live ready for the Lord's return. The Bible is a prophetic book with many predictions about the future. There are 735 predictions in the Bible, with at least one prediction present in a quarter of its chapters. Although some books focus more on predictions, all scriptures are prophetic. It is surprising to note that 596 of the 735 predictions have already been literally fulfilled, representing 81% of all biblical prophecies. Some of these prophecies were made centuries before their fulfillment, demonstrating the power of God's Word and its high reliability. This allows us to have confidence in its prophecy even regarding the remaining 19%, which is still a very high score. The Bible has been proven 100% correct for every prediction that could have been fulfilled up to now. Additionally, most of these predictions concern the actual return of Jesus and what will follow after. How many of these predictions still need to be fulfilled before the return of Jesus? The answer is about 20, and we must observe what is happening in the world and see what signs He has given us to help us prepare. The signs are the signals. Let's take a look at chapter 24 of Matthew, where the disciples asked Jesus what will be the signs of His return. What would we do if we did not know when it will happen? Jesus answers their question directly and unequivocally. We can thank God for this direct answer. In the book of Revelation, there is a much more detailed and complete answer. But here is an overview of the signs that will precede His arrival. The disciples approached Him secretly while He was sitting on the Mount of Olives, and later Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives, and His disciples asked Him, "Tell us, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world?" Jesus answered them by telling them not to be deceived by anyone, for many will come in His name, claiming to be the Messiah, and they will deceive many people. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but do not panic, for these things must happen. But the end is not yet. Nations will fight against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world, but all this is just the beginning. It is only the beginning of birth pains, for there will be more to follow. You will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. Many will turn away from me, betray each other, and hate each other. Many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Sin will spread everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. But the one who perseveres to the end will be saved. The good news of the kingdom will be preached throughout the world, so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. The day will come when you will see what Daniel and the prophets spoke about, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration standing in the holy place. Reader, pay attention. Those who are in Judea must flee from the hills and not go down into their houses or pack anything. Those who are in the fields must not even go back to get their coats. How terrible it will be for pregnant women and nursing mothers in those days. And pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, because the distress will be greater than at any other time since the beginning of the world, and there will never be such a terrible time again. In fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, no one will survive. But it will be shortened for the sake of God's elect. So if anyone tells you, "Look, "Here is the Messiah," or "There he is." Do not believe it, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect of God. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, "There he is, out in the desert," do not go out. Or, "Here he is, in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Just as vultures gather around a carcass, so these signs indicate that the end is near. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. And then, finally, the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the sky, and there will be great mourning among all the peoples of the earth. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky, with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn a lesson from the fig tree. When its branches sprout and its leaves begin to grow, you know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see all these things, you can know that his return is very near. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words will never disappear. However, no one knows the day or hour when these things will happen, not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself. Only the Father knows. In that passage, Jesus gave 4 distinct signs of his coming. What exactly are these 4 signs? The first one clearly involves disasters in the world, such as wars, famines, and earthquakes. Although these events have happened for over 2,000 years, they have become more intense, and we are certainly in this first sign. Jesus warns us not to be deceived by false Christs or messiahs who present themselves as saviors during natural crisis. There are many well-known examples of people who pretend to be saviors and lead people into desolate places, only to end in tragedy. There are also many false saviors of Christ who promise to solve all our problems. However, Jesus advises us not to be alarmed or worried when we hear about new wars, tragedies, and famines, because they are painful events but not mortal. They are the pains of childbirth of a new world that is about to be born. This should change our attitude towards these events. The second sign of Jesus' coming is not in the world but in the church. Just as the first sign was divided into 3 parts, the second sign is divided into 3 parts that occur within the church. The first part is persecution, in which we will be hated in every nation. The second part concerns a significant reduction in the size of the church, as many people will abandon the faith under the weight of universal persecution. The third part of the sign is the proclamation of the gospel to all racial groups. Jesus exhorts us not to panic or be distressed, but to have faith and hope in a new birth of a new world. We should have sympathy for those who suffer disasters and help them, but in our hearts we should not be alarmed. The disasters in the world are the pains of the birth of a new world that is about to be born. In short, Jesus' advice to us is not to be panicked or distressed, but to rejoice and say that these are all signs of something new happening. A smaller and purified church could have a greater impact on the planet, and that is exactly what Jesus is suggesting. However, false prophets can be a source of deception. We can recognize them when there is no peace, as they teach peace instead of challenging us. Their message is comforting, saying that everything will be fine and nothing will happen. But Jesus advises us not to give in to these false prophets and to persevere until the end to be saved. When all aspects of the church are despised by the world, this is the time when Christians should follow Jesus' advice. Why should it be so? The answer is that wheat and weeds grow together, and the closer they come to full maturity, the greater the tension between them. Therefore, it is natural that in the end Christians will be under great pressure, being socially out of place. Christians may encounter hatred as the world is not our place of belonging. Our citizenship is in the heavenly realms. Our uniqueness, similar to that of Jesus, could be the cause of the hatred we encounter. As John 15:19 says, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." The third sign of the end of times is the anguish of Jerusalem, which is geographically limited. In this passage, Jesus cites the prophecies of Daniel that describe a character called the abomination of desolation. This is a man who settles in the same city as God, declares himself as God, and refuses to accept anyone else's will over himself. His arrival will have global ramifications, but it will have Jerusalem as its center, the holy city. Jesus says that the fourth sign of his coming will come right after. So we will be ready when that signal arrives. There will be no danger of false prophets or meshes because it will be too fast. However, there will be a catastrophic event, the disappearance of all natural light. The sun will be darkened, the stars will fall, and many other passages in the Bible predict it. For example, Isaiah says that the heavens will be rolled up like a scroll, and all the stars in the sky will dissolve. Natural light will disappear, leaving only artificial light to illuminate the earth. But what is happening? People may ask, and Christians will exclaim, the sun, the stars, and the moon have stopped shining. Just before this happens, God turns off the lights in the sky to prepare for the blazing flash of light that will mark his return. Then Jesus will return on the clouds, and we will meet him. We will not meet him on the earthly plane because there is not one big enough to accommodate such a large crowd. We will meet him in flight, and that will be enough. It's not a fantastic prospect. When you see all these things, you know that gates are about to enter, Jesus says. So Jesus makes a very simple statement about the fig tree, and this is where many Christians have lost their way. He says that now I have learned this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Jesus is telling us that when we notice all these events happening, we know we are there. Now that fig tree's distress is not an allegory. It is a simple analogy with everyday experiences, as Jesus often presented in his teaching. When we see the fig tree doing it, we say summer is coming. It will come with the same style when we notice these four signs. We know that summer is coming. Unfortunately, people have read it as an allegory. In conclusion, our question today is, what is a worship song that has helped you feel closer to God?